is one way of viewing the world, and I have some sympathy with some of what you've said. Let me give you another way, which is that many people around the world see the state of Israel as a country that is exclusively using military force, that has killed 70,000 people in Gaza, that is doing nothing to create a sustainable future for people there. That is a country, you've been accused of being a war criminal. That if you went to go to several countries in Europe, you're going to get arrested. This is not just mad campus radicalism. This is a feeling around the world. You said it yourself to us just now. In public opinion around the world, Israel is doing very poorly. And it's doing very poorly because people see a country that is behaving in a way that is not compatible with being a liberal democracy. And therefore, I think you have a problem. I think that loss of public opinion, what struck me from your autobiography was how subtly and for how long you have understood this. You know that political power comes from public opinion, and you know that you need to win the battle of public opinion, and you're losing it. You've absolutely lost it in Europe, but much more worryingly for you, you're losing it in America. And I think that what you've just told me about fanaticism is true in part, but it is not going to shape public opinion. People are going to roll their eyes and say, he's saying that anybody who says anything critical about Israel is anti-Semitic. He's giving this large, this story about fanaticism, and he's not accepting the fact that Israel is behaving in a way that we think is incompatible with the kind of liberal democracy that he claims to be.
What's going on, everybody? Public verdict here. So this actually happened. Someone finally sat across from Netanyahu and said, to his face, what a huge chunk of the world has been thinking for months. This clip's short, couple minutes, so I'm going to let it play first. Jump in where it matters, then break the whole thing down after. Watch how he tries to spin the casualty numbers, watch the flag moment near the end, and watch the faces of the other people in that room while he does it. If you care about where this war's narrative is actually heading, not what the talking points say, but where public opinion is really moving, you want to stick around for the breakdown after. Drop a like, hit subscribe if this is your kind of content, and let's get into it.
To Afghanistan, to Iraq, and so on, the ratio of combatants to non-combatants killed was 6-1, 7-1. In Gaza, because Hamas was forcing people to stay in urban areas at gunpoint, the ratio is about 1.5-1. And we lost a lot of soldiers because we didn't carpet bomb.
That is disputed, Prime Minister.
We didn't do...
People have different ratios as well, including...
I'm telling you, you don't actually, but that's not the point. It certainly wasn't 6-1 or 7-1, and we certainly didn't carpet bomb, which we could have done right away. We've lost a lot of people by my refusal and the IDF's own mores in making sure that doesn't happen. Now, if you have the densest urban warfare theater in history, with 500 kilometers of terror tunnels underneath, 50 meters below, 50 meters above, everything booby-trapped, and you don't come in and just bomb the place to smithereens, which we didn't. I mean, we had everything booby-trapped. We moved the population out, and then you have to fight the Hamas in there. The ratios in Mosul, the ratios in Fallujah, the ratios elsewhere, there's nothing comparison, and that was nothing compared to what our brave soldiers had to face in Gaza. So I dispute the fact. The argument that you put forward is being put forward. It doesn't make it true. What is true is that Israel is fighting these worst killers, these people who took not only beheaded our men, raped our women, and then murdered them, burned our babies alive, and took 255 hostages, which we took out. Nobody believed that we got them out. These are barbarians, and they're given a free look. I have demonstrations on behalf of Hamas. Notice that they're burning the flag of Israel and the flag of the UK, the flag of Israel and the flag of America. When you have pro-Israel demonstrations, they wave Israeli flags, they wave American flags, they wave British flags. These people are against you, whether you recognize it or not. They will sweep away your societies, your freedoms, your ideas, the values that we cherish, exactly
Prime
as you
Minister,
do.
it really isn't just extreme radicals. There are huge numbers of people who are concerned about Israel's behavior, frankly, including people like me.
Well,
Friends of Israel who
I
are
think that if
concerned...
Britain was invaded, forgive me, if Britain was invaded and you had the equivalent in Britain, your population is what, 65 million, something like that, 60 million, right? So you're about 6 times our size. So if you had on one day about 8,000 Brits murdered, mutilated, raped, and kidnapped, and they came right next to London, what would you do? We know what you did. We know exactly what Britain did, and I don't hold Churchill or the British government or the British people who supported him responsible for saying you shouldn't act that way. You bombed the living daylights out of German cities and out of.
All right, let's actually break down what we just watched. Because there's a lot more going on in that room than just two guys talking over each other. Start with the casualty numbers, because that's where Netanyahu tried to build his whole defense. He claimed Israel's combatant-to-civilian kill ratio in Gaza was better than U.S. operations in Iraq and Afghanistan. 1.5 to 1, he said, compared to 6 or 7 to 1 elsewhere. Here's the problem. That number is contested and, by most independent assessments, isn't supported by the data on the ground. The Gaza Health Ministry's death toll, which the UN and independent researchers have found broadly reliable in past conflicts, puts the number of Palestinians killed at around 70,000, the vast majority women and children. When you're bombing the most densely populated urban war zone on Earth, you don't get to just assert a favorable ratio and move on. The interviewer didn't let him get away with it, and neither should we. Then there's the arrest warrant. This isn't spin, this isn't campus radicalism, this is the International Criminal Court, a body Israel doesn't recognize the jurisdiction of. Sure, but one that plenty of U.S. allies do, issuing a warrant against the sitting head of government for alleged war crimes and crimes against humanity, including the use of starvation as a method of warfare. That's not a hot take. That's a legal body with actual judges looking at actual evidence and concluding there's a case to answer. Netanyahu can dispute the finding. That's his right, but he doesn't get to pretend it doesn't exist. And watch what he did when the facts stopped working for him. He didn't answer the casualty question. He didn't answer the press access question. And by the way, that press access point matters more than people give it credit. For this is genuinely one of the only major conflicts in modern history where independent journalists have been almost entirely barred from entering and reporting freely. That's not incidental. When you don't want cameras in a place, it's usually because you don't want the world seeing what's happening there. Instead of answering, Netanyahu pivoted straight to the flags. They wave American flags, British flags. They're coming for your societies. That's not an argument. That's a scare tactic, deployed the second the actual substance got uncomfortable. And you could see it on the faces of the people across from him. Nobody in that room was buying it. Here's the bigger picture, though, and this is the part that actually matters long term. This interview is a symptom of something much larger happening in real time. A genuine, measurable shift in how the U.S. political and public conversation treats Israel. You're seeing it in real numbers. Polling on Israel's favorability among Americans, especially younger Americans, has been sliding for a while now. You're seeing lawmakers who take AI PAC money get called out publicly for it in a way that simply wasn't happening a few years ago. You're seeing a bipartisan discomfort start to form, even if it's not yet reflected in official policy. Public opinion is a resource, and once a government starts visibly losing it, the political cover starts disappearing with it. That's not a prediction. That's already underway. None of this erases what happened on October 7. The hostages, the killings, the brutality of that day were real and they matter, and nothing here minimizes it. But two things can be true at once. Hamas committed atrocities, and the scale and conduct of Israel's response is now facing serious, credible, independent, legal, and moral scrutiny of its own. Holding both of those at the same time isn't contradiction. It's honesty. And Netanyahu's entire strategy in this clip and elsewhere depends on making people believe you can't hold both. that criticism of the war means you've sided with Hamas. That's false, and more people are seeing through it every single day. That's why this clip matters. Not because someone finally said something nobody else would say. Plenty of people have been saying it. It matters because you're watching, in real time, the moment public opinion stops being deferential to power and starts demanding accountability instead. That shift doesn't reverse easily once it starts. If this kind of breakdown is what you come here for, the stuff other channels won't actually dig into, do me a favor and hit subscribe. Drop a like, and let me know in the comments where you land on this. I'll see you in the next one.